That's your duck.
Getting better.
Hello.
My dog. My dog bit me because I scared it. Yeah. Hopefully get ready to shot.
Yeah.
Suzanne.
So, time to call this meeting to order. Could we have roll call, please? And do you want to do everybody, commissioners and trustees at this point? How do we do this?
Yeah. So I'll skip over the trustees on the planning commission twice. So, Mayor Smith,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Valentine. Not here. Trustee Stelter,
Here.
Trustee Schwartz,
Here.
Trustee Check,
Here.
Trustee Hunter, here. Chair Hudson, here. Vice Chair Howe, here. And Commissioner McCarthy. That you do have a quorum, Madam Mayor.
Okay. So to switch over to the approval of the agenda, they're all on the planning commission agenda. Does that turn to the chair of the planning commission?
Yeah, I'd like to say this is our regularly scheduled meeting. And I'm a little bit concerned that it's turned into a board meeting. You know, we're only meeting once a month unless we have special meetings. And to talk about this plan, and we've had meetings canceled this summer on us. You know, we've had these other joint meetings, and I think we've kind of determined that we want to keep working through this, and I'm really disappointed that this has turned into an actual board meeting at this point, because I see there's some board items that aren't relative to the planning commission here. And of course, we can't share that, but yeah. So it's just a statement. I think this is part of the problem. I think there needs to be more clarity about our meetings and make sure that we actually are able to continue with our statutorily authorized meetings, monthly meetings.
Okay, in defense of this, these two were definitely had to be done just because of timing. But this was a plan to be a joint meeting.
Yeah, but I mean, I
For a
think
while.
what could have happened was this could have been done like at 6 o'clock, before our meeting, for instance, or after the meeting. And so the planning commission wouldn't have to sit through that portion, because this is our meeting. And anyway, and again, the agenda's been set without our ability to work on a plan. It delays it another month. That's how I see it. So that's just my statement.
I guess I see agenda item 3 being pretty robust.
Yeah, but is this a planning commission discussion?
Yes.
Okay, because we only have 2 board members on our planning commission, and that's you and now Lucy Hunter. Our planning commission doesn't have the entire board involved, and so it's up to us to be making decisions. And I think if the board wants to be a guest and to listen in, that's fine. But the planning commission is the purview of the planning commission, what we're doing here. So
And again,
I didn't realize it was going to go to this extent. And then also the public participation, to actually have it written down that it's the mayor that's conducting the meeting. That's troubling to me. I mean, yeah,
I only intend to do agenda item 1 and 2,
okay, thank you.
not the whole thing, which is why I turned it over to you at the planning commission meeting minutes.
Still need to approve the agenda.
Oh, sorry. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as written. I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right.
So we have minutes here, planning commission minutes, and then do we have a quorum here for approval? And Lucy, and Pete is not here, I guess. So I saw a few things in here. I was wondering, was that really said, like out of my mouth? But I didn't have time to go to YouTube and try to verify it. So I don't know. We can always come back and Well, okay, I'd like to suspend the approval of the August 19th planning commission minutes, but everything else I'm okay with. There's some questions I had about verbiage in there. And I know you can come back at any time, my understanding and change minutes if we need to. Is that true, Samira?
Yeah, if you want to remove them and not approve them, that's
Yeah.
fine.
So just the August
Motion,
19th.
correct?
Yes.
Yes, so I'll make a motion to remove the August 19th minutes. And until they get a little further review.
Is the chair allowed to make the motion?
Yeah, it's different from the planning commission. So, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
For discussion,
Oh,
Discussion?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So that is August. Here. Okay, so do I have a motion approving the minutes? I'll make a motion, okay, go
I
ahead.
make a motion to approve the minutes for July 22nd, August 5th, and August 7th.
I'll second that.
Second.
Okay, thanks, Lynn. All, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So agenda item number 1 is quite an overlap because we need a planning commission member on the zoning board of adjustments.
That's typically done at a regular board meeting or a special board meeting, so that's not something that the planning commission agendizes, so that's your
Right.
your
So
call.
on that note, I have Lucy Hunter, Suzanne Watson. I don't know if the mayor will be on the Zoom, or myself, or Lynn. Any volunteers to be on the ZBOA, which meets pretty infrequently?
It's only when it's necessary.
Say that,
I said it only meets when it's necessary.
yeah, so it's not a big time commitment in the past.
Just have one question. Is Commissioner McCarthy, is he involved in the building industry? Does he have experience? Reason I'm asking is because I know our ordinance also states that the zoning board of adjustment is the board of appeals for the building code. So I would have a preference for somebody with that kind of experience that's not me.
I don't think you can put that, it's on, the statutory board is the Board of Adjustment. And there is no requirement to be a building professional. It's purely has to do with zoning matters.
It's the overlap.
Yeah, so, but the thing is, we might want to separate those two, because I think it's problematic to put them together, just because the statutory board shouldn't be constrained by anyway, so I don't think it's relevant at this point. Okay, Lucy? Oh, go ahead.
I know you're in the chair. I was just gonna say, only because we just learned at our last meeting, or the one where we're looking at the zoning code. Leslie at this point is talking about, what was she saying? Not getting rid of the ZBOA and putting it back onto the planning commission, but then keeping the building code board of appeals separately, which does have the building requirement, which kind of makes sense, but we're not there yet. Our code does not allow that at this point. So at this point, whoever goes on the ZBOA is on the zoning building code board of appeals as well, which I think meets even less infrequently than the
Yeah.
ZBOA.
Are there any actions coming up that this is like really critical to do this?
So there is a ZBOA topic coming.
I'll be calling to schedule public hearings for the zoning board of adjustment very soon.
Okay. So,
And I do want to say, if you read the statute, the ZBOA decision is final. And the way it's appealed is in court. They shouldn't be giving it back to the board, the town board. So it's a final decision. According, whatever their decision is, but their decision is final. So it's kind of interesting because I do think that board needs some direction. And I think they need to look at the statute a little bit more. And our ordinance is actually kind of unclear about ZBOA. It's confused with the planning commission a lot, these variances, and hopefully Leslie's looking at that,
I believe she is.
so.
We're still at the.
I want to clarify one thing. So the last one that you're referring to, because I mean, that's not beat around the bush, it's the church, right? That's what we're talking about.
No, I'm not talking
So,
about.
so that one that was under the advice of the attorney, that it needs to go for final approval of Board of Trustees.
Yeah.
Typically, you're absolutely right. The zoning board of adjustment is the final say, but that was an exception.
Stefan, I want to say that traditionally, in fact, we've never even used a ZBOA. They've always just sent it to the planning commission and ignored that ordinance, and they've always sent variances to the board of trustees. So when Leslie did it that one time for the house on the corner there, it was the first time we actually did it in the way that the statute describes. So that's what I'm talking about.
That's good.
Yeah.
Traditionally, it has been the planning commission that did that action ever since I've been in town. And that's 37
We've
years.
ignored our ordinances. So.
It's what it looked like to me. So now it's time to go forward and do it right, at least while our code says.
So it's too bad Pete's not around, because, you know, we're down one member right now, and perhaps he would be interested, and I don't know, Lynn, are you interested in the ZBOA? Okay.
I don't think I have the background.
Well, it's basically just the zoning code. It's just the zoning code, and it's the planning commission. I mean, it's like, you look at exceptions to the, like, if there's, let's talk about what it is. What does the ZBOA do? They make exceptions, if there's a hardship situation, or if there's there are three different. Do we have that ordinance in front of us?
I'd have to pull it up. I don't,
Yeah.
I didn't bring my,
There are
Planning
three
commission
different
book.
situations that are described for ZBOA members to, thank you. Oh, yeah, I have it here. Okay. And this is kind of chopped off.
It's on the back.
Yeah, oh, okay. So, to hear and decide appeals or as alleged that, by the applicant that there is error in any order, requirement, decision, or refusal by an administrative official or agency based on or made in the enforcement of chapter 16, which is the zoning chapter, like, you can't put that up because it's gonna be too tall, or you can't put that up because it's gonna cover too much lot, or, you know, things like that, like the physical characteristics of the property. To hear and decide appeals wherein, and that would come from like a administrative official, like, you know, the town administrator perhaps, or the building official. To hear and decide appeals wherein there is a question on the interpretation of the zone district map or similar questions as they may arise in the administration of chapter 16 of this code. I've never heard anything on that line as long as I've lived here. I've never been aware of that type of appeal. And what's most common is to hear and decide appeals for special exceptions to the provisions of this code, such exceptions to be known as variances. And I think we've been kind of loose in how we've used that in the past with goats and stuff, even though that's not in our zoning chapter. So.
did you say goats?
Yeah, when people want the variance to have goats, and that's not in the zoning chapter, so it probably never should have happened that way, but, so it would be nice to start, kind of, in my opinion, keeping it a little bit closer and tighter to what the meaning of it is as far as this zoning chapter. So this, for instance, we did one last spring where someone wanted to build a porch onto the back of their house, and it was going to be a little too close to the property line, but they had a very small lot, and the house was pre-existing, and it had been, so there was declared that there was a hardship situation. So it's kind of, the board looks at things and says, well, it doesn't apply to it doesn't comport with our rules, but we can make that exception, you know, because of, and then you have to be very clear about what it is, you know, you have to have the findings of fact based, and basically, so, because that's what supports the decision. So did I explain that?
Yeah.
Kind of? Anyway, so, yeah, it's.
So now then, what do you think?
So it's not that you don't have experience, it's actually quite interesting, but it's like, oh my God. I'm gonna have to say yes or no again here. So that's kind of the interesting thing about it.
Probably the biggest thing about it too is due process, that the
Mhm.
person gets due process
The
based
due
on.
process.
But you don't have to know about buildings, codes
Yeah,
necessarily unless. And you would unless until we separate the two different boards, because now the Building Code Board of Appeals is synonymous with the ZBOA. It's the same people that do two different decision-making. And there, the 2018 International Building Code asks that people on the Building Code Board of Appeals have some building experience. But at this point, well, there are some building experience people on the ZBOA. Isn't Ian on there? He's a contractor.
is he still on there? It's Gia and Shoshana and the guy in Cedar Edge.
They'll do stuff.
Yeah,
Is Ian still on?
okay.
Yes, but he hasn't been at the last few.
Okay.
He moved, so I think he was probably interested in resigning at some point.
Oh, so we'll have another.
Okay.
So we're still at that spot where we need a planning commission member on the ZBOA. So again,
Because it's
eeny,
required by
meeny,
statute.
miny, mo. Yes, we have four of us here.
What's that?
You wanna be on it?
Well, I mean, my work schedule makes it a little hard. I could be on it, but I'd resign as soon as we get enough, you know what, things more stabilized with a new board member maybe, and if Lucy's only temporary and Pete's not here, it's a little hard to like, oh, well, we're saying if ex officio people can't be on it, it has to be the.
They can,
Right.
The board shall have 5 members. One membership shall be filled by a current member of the planning commission.
Doesn't say-
Appointment to membership shall be the board of trustees for a term of 3 years.
Yeah, made by the, so it doesn't say it's not ex officio.
right.
So it could be one of the planning commission members that are.
Lucy?
May I ask what, Samara, or Clerk Fetter, sorry. What the next item coming up before the ZBA is gonna be? Because my concern also is that I may,
You do not have
no connection on those.
So can it be done at next meeting's regular meeting?
this is really a board decision and, you know, a board of trustees decision since you are the appointment body.
Yeah.
But the reason for this being a joint meeting, you can ask a planning commission member if they're interested in serving before appointment.
Trustee Stelter?
In many organizations I've been in, if you don't show up to the meeting, you get appointed to things. I think that's a very good thing. So
Yeah, it's actually, maybe just make a motion to appoint.
There it
somebody.
Trustee Hunter?
I move to appoint Commissioner McCarthy to the ZBA.
I hope he shows up. So you-
And this is a board decision, so Lynn and I aren't voting. Oh, I'm voting yes. This is a town board.
You have a motion. Is there a
I don't have
second?
a second.
Yes, wait a minute. Clerk Fetter?
Just before you guys go too crazy here, well, I understand that that's what it is. It's also very important that whoever is gonna do this is gonna be able to be there. Because if a variance is to be approved, it requires 4 aye votes.
Okay, I'll
So even if you only
volunteer.
have, if you only have 3 members that show up regularly, you can't even do anything.
I would.
I'll amend my motion
Temporarily.
to appoint Commissioner Chair Watson to the
Okay,
ZBA.
and I will volunteer temporarily until we're resettled here, because, just to help move things forward.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any more discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Suzanne. So the next agenda item is the ballot language for the sidewalk fee, and it's on page 21 of the packet. And we talked about it, and the motion.
I move to approve the ballot language as presented in our packet
I'll second.
for the sidewalk.
Any discussion? And anybody from the public want to speak on this issue? Zach? Yes. Kathy, did you second?
Tracy second.
Lucy seconds.
I motion for second.
Okay.
And anyone from the public like to speak on the sidewalk fee going on the ballot? Come on up.
That's Sherry Patterson, Rio Grande. That's the only issue on the ballot. I mean, isn't there gonna be some kind of public discussion about sidewalk fees, sidewalks and what that means? Huh? You had it? When was that?
There's been 2 work sessions about the sidewalk fee.
Well, about the sidewalk fee, but about just the general concept of sidewalks, like, isn't there another way of doing things, you know, another
I
idea?
just need to know
of
what's the next one.
Not just uniquely about the fee, and I think it should be 3, but I think there's another way of doing it also with the 50-50, like a lot of communities are already adopting, where, you know, the homeowner has some say in it, you know, also, and it could work out to the benefit of the town and the homeowner. Anyway, I guess that wasn't brought up at all in the discussions, huh? It was, and it was refused. So why are we then voting on a $3 if it wasn't refused, the 50-50?
Yes.
Yeah, so what was discussed in these previous meetings, to refresh everyone's memory, was that it was whether or not you want this to be on the ballot for continuing the $3 sidewalk fee. Any sort of policy or programming afterwards, such as a 50-50 sidewalk fee that I propose, it would be by ordinance. And so you would set that by ordinance after the fact. But it would be this is deciding whether or not you want to continue to ask in a referendum vote to see if this fund could continue.
So then that would mean petition and tell people, townspeople to reject the $3 fee continuation and let's push for the 50 or whatever. Anyway, thanks.
That's
Discussion.
Oh, this is just a question to Town Clerk Better. So remind me the date that we have for having our pros and cons.
The 21st. But the ballot language, which I'm having you guys approve today, I have to have to the Delta County Clerk by Friday, so. I just wanted to make sure that the changes I made in there were what you guys wanted.
Any more discussion?
Well, can I make a comment as a community member, because I'm obviously
I don't
not
see
part,
why
not
not.
part of the body.
Yeah, as
Okay.
long as, can she be heard? As long as you can be heard, okay.
Should
Go
I
ahead.
go up to the podium?
That might be better. Does it matter? Do you care? Oh, okay, so we're good. She's good. Okay.
So I obviously wasn't listening when you were talking about this, but I don't know, I think as a voter, I feel a little uncomfortable with it's not existing sidewalks anymore. It's for new sidewalks too, and $3 hardly went anywhere with the existing sidewalks. How is that gonna cover the construction of new sidewalks too?
Steve Hunter?
If I may, I know we're not supposed to necessarily respond to public comment, but we have had work sessions where we talked about all this, and we did absolutely look at different ways of repairing sidewalks rather than just hiring outside consultants, how we could use the money better. We did also discuss doing a 50-50 match fee that would be part of this. And we specifically took out the language to just repair existing because that was problematic because there's a lot of places that need new sidewalk that are on the safe routes to school. So we have discussed this a lot in work sessions, and I'm sure it'll be discussed more, but this is just to get, we had a deadline to get ballot
Well,
language on.
it's a ballot question, so the ultimate discussion will be the voting.
Right, absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
okay.
The other thing that we had talked about was the $3. We know that doesn't get us much, but we also don't feel comfortable increasing it, just because it's hard times for people. And we're like, well, if we can do the 50-50, that will help take that money a little bit further. So, yeah, I feel good about the $3. It gets us about 30,000 a year, gives us a pot to work with if the voters decide on that.
Okay. Seems like we've got a motion and a second, you do, right? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes. So agenda item 3 is, I'm gonna pass back to you, Suzanne. And there is some information that Administrator Nguyen can provide about the DOLA extension because it was on the board's agenda for the Tuesday meeting. They have it fill in there and other questions and then the table.
Okay,
I'll turn it
so,
back to you.
we were talking about getting a DOLA extension in order to proceed with the comprehensive plan and the changes that we've identified need to be made. So, but I haven't heard as a planning commission where we're at with that. With DOLA. So is that, Stephanie, do you have some more information about that?
I do. At the last board meeting, the board did approve a letter to DOLA from our mayor requesting extension to February 28th, 2025 to be fully complete with this comprehensive plan. Now, as I've said in multiple planning commission meetings and board meetings, it is a request. They don't have to grant it. They may not grant it. We don't know if they're going to grant it. They may say December 28th is fine, but we really want you to be done by January 31st. We don't know. But that was given at the last board meeting, so a letter will be going to DOLA requesting that extension.
So it's pending approval. Okay. So does anybody have any other questions or comments about that topic? Okay, so moving on to statutorily required sections. We identified that there were certain sections that were required by statute that were missing or kind of sparse. And let's see, I have this chart, yeah, I've got it back here. Yeah, and that's in this spreadsheet that I have in front of you. And we went through that. Let's see, where's one? I probably put it in my binder.
Give another column.
They're up on this from the room.
Oh, there you go. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mine has holes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we went through here, and so on the far right-hand column, that's where we identified, yes, we need to include that, we need to work on that. So there were maps that needed to be a little bit more fleshed out, like the hazard areas. And in the middle, you see what the statute is requiring, and that's quote from state statute. So we wanted to make sure that we were conforming to that. So you can see on page 1, 4, and 5, or basically yes, and then also 3 has to do with housing section, which we know there's a housing study in the action plan, but it's like trying to figure out how to incorporate it into the master plan is kind of is going to be something that needs some work. So technically, there's a lot of map stuff that's needed here. The second page, you'll see that. 8. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Again, statutory piece of information that
Yeah.
needs to be in.
So this kind of spells it out in the form of the spreadsheet here, and we said no to certain things. We also thought certain things were kind of not applicable at this point in time. You know, we're really looking at things we need to do to satisfy DOLA, to satisfy the whole requirement for the master plan, and to make sure it's all in there. So, does anybody have any questions about this?
Questions or comment?
Yeah.
So I went through all of this, and if I can kind of summarize, the things that need added are water element, that being the main one. And it seems like expanding, adding more of a tourism element in the economic development portion. Aside from that, I was seeing including the housing action plan and the Paonia growth management area that was apparently in the May 2024 version, and hiring a consultant to do maps. So we hire a consultant to do maps. We already have the housing needs assessment. We already have the growth management area. And so basically the two new element, or expanding the tourism element and then creating a water element.
There's a little bit more.
There is a little bit more, a little bit cleaning up language, but I'm just trying to look for like main points. I'm trying to think scheduling, how we're gonna get this done and going backwards from hopefully the end of February.
So about that water element, there is a portion of the state statute that says the Department of Local Affairs, created by section 24(1)(125), may hire and employ one full-time employee to provide educational resources and assistance to municipalities that include water conservation policies in their master plans as described in subsection 1D3 of this section. So I don't know if we've reached out to DOLA and maybe gotten some help from them about the water section. And is that something that we want to investigate as a planning commission? So I just want to put that out there. You know, I'm just bringing this information up tonight, so I don't know if that's something that staff could look into. Is there a water person with DOLA that helps with comprehensive plans?
The answer to that question, if I might. I'm kind of feeling like rather than open-endedly asking DOLA for help, I feel like we need to create a water element
What
that we,
issues?
yeah, and have something for someone to look at.
That sounds good.
Because right now, the things that we don't have that are statutorily required, also, not only is there need to be a map, but there needs to be some narrative to go with it. And we don't, I don't think we have much of that narrative to pull out of this, or there could be some narrative in the appendices. I've not done a full look. But it seems to me that we don't have any money left. Well, we only have $800 left in any prize. So any work that needs to be done is going to have to be done in-house.
It would
other
seem
than
like
the maps.
DOLA would be free, don't you think? I
Well,
don't think we pay DOLA to help us with the comp plan.
well, again, I suggest that we know
To
our
be
water
efficient.
element, yes, that we create a section, and you know, it might be perfectly good. I don't know. I mean, we have water is scattered in here, but it really needs to be coalesced.
Yeah.
And there are other pieces in here, but it just needs to be looked at under the microscope of the specific sections that the statute requires. Because I think that's gonna, again, I'm putting words in Dola's mouth, but I'm assuming that's what they're gonna use as their barometer.
Yeah.
If we can let them know, and Stefan, I don't know if you feel like, in terms of the letter to DOLA, do you feel like we need to recognize that we have statutorily required pieces that we have not necessarily have in here clearly,
I
and let
think
them know?
that's part of what they're asking for, but I do want to clarify. There is a section on water already in what your comprehensive plan. It starts on page 61. It is within Appendix B, infrastructure, and it goes to page 63. 64 begins wastewater.
And that's packet
This is the packet, yes.
60.
Agenda packet.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll see if it satisfies.
And so, and within the actual comprehensive plan itself, against page 37. So that's something that can easily be turned into an element with objectives and goals, which is also part of the action list that they have provided as well. So we can pull things out.
Okay.
To clarify, DOLA does have the Colorado Resiliency Office, and that is the office for that talks about waters and sheds and things. Sorry.
Lynn?
This is a question, correct me if I'm wrong, in some of the earlier versions of the master plan, was there, you know, a little bit more of the element of water fleshed out and then that was taken out? Because we could go back to that too and look at, you know, what could be reincorporated. Because there were some action items. So not using it necessarily as action items, but using that as information to weave into the element.
Yeah, there was that, so that, to sum it up, I guess, there's statutorily required sections that we want to make sure are there. And that's one of the, you know, taking time to do that is one of the reasons why I'm asking for that extension. Did you have any more comments?
I just wondered if you want to go to number 45 on the table, because these were Lynn's comments that didn't get in this original table. And I listened to the meeting. Please correct me if any of what I put in here, yes, no's, et cetera. I did my best to listen and put them in here. And so listened yesterday. But I realized that Lynn's comments hadn't gotten into the table. They were in the agenda packet and you all didn't have a chance to look at them. So I inserted them in as comments 45 through 61. And I think.
They're also on the website.
And they're on the website.
They are on the website.
I think 47 doesn't need to be there because anyway.
You know,
Lynn, you probably recognize.
Lynn, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, that's all.
That 45, item number 45, it's kind of interesting because in a way it kind of comports with 3123-206, 1, item A. And that's talking about the general location, character, extent of existing, proposed, and projected streets, roads, rights of way. I mean, when it says the character rights of way, that talks to our urban forest in my mind when I read that. So that's important. That's an important part of the plan that we need to identify, don't you think? Anyway, I don't know if you're looking at the right page of 45 of your comment, open space, support and maintain street and park trees is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And even the dark nighttime skies, yeah. So that kind of that in my mind comports with 3123-206-1A.
It can be consolidated.
Yeah, but that's good to bring that up, is what I'm saying. I appreciate that. Okay. I'm just gonna put a note next there. So. Okay.
The page numbers coincide with the page numbers, I think, in this packet. If you want to see the language that she's proposing to add on to it and what it looks like in, you know, what comes before and after.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Actually, I think it's the page number in the plan itself, not the packet number.
Yeah, that's those minutes. Yeah. Okay. Did you want to take a few minutes to look that over, or any questions about that? Those last few comments of Lynn's. And so it's
Maybe
TBD
it's not.
to be discussed. Huh?
I was trying to find the growth framework values. It's not the right page number.
It's not on page 18.
Mhm. The land use ones, oh yeah, that doesn't match this because of our UX. So, sorry. Can't get you to.
Okay, so that's like rule.
Where it was, where your comments came from in the document itself. Framework, wasn't that before the land use? plan?
I thought they came from the page numbers there. I
Yeah,
don't
it did.
actually have
It's not mentioned for me.
big old coincide.
Yeah, because there's a packet number and then there's also the page number at the bottom.
Yeah, and it's not, we just look at the word search.
So this might be a little off topic, but we heard at the last board meeting, that gentleman that was talking about the hazard plan for the region. And he was asking for some funding. Is that something that we might want to explore putting into the comprehensive plan? If there's a hazard mitigation plan that's being developed, right?
That's about a year in advance.
Okay.
They won't be done for at least a year, I don't believe.
Okay, so that's something that we can update
You'll
later.
have to be updated.
Okay, it's. Okay, are we gonna try to find this right now? or
Yeah, I'm
just-
not finding it.
Got enough policies, or is that what we're at?
Well,
Or
they
are you
came,
still looking for?
I think if they came ahead of those policies on this packet are on page 37 as opposed to 24 in the table.
Right.
So that's when this.
I see on page 36 that they discuss open space. It's in the vision and values section.
Okay, so, oh, good, maybe it's all in there. Maybe paragraphs. All right, yep, there it is. Sorry, it's on page 36 of the packet. The next packet. Thanks, Rick.
And so some of the issues that we had were, things were a little bit vague, let's say, and that's where, we were going through and kind of editing some of the verbiage to make it more direct, and Paige was doing a really good job with that. And, right, we were kind of continuing on that line.
Are you talking about the objectives?
Yeah, the objectives and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of talk in here, but when it came down to the objectives, we wanted to make sure it was very clear and readable. Okay.
If I might, does everyone have a copy of page 37?
Can you tell me I don't have it in the packet, I just have the regular master. plan.
Oh.
Okay, thank you.
That's page 13.
Yeah, good. Yes. So I had gone out, taken two of the easier elements
That's
and had turned each value into an objective instead of, because there's one particular element that has maybe 10 values. And then it has a list. And in this case, on page 12, there are 4 values with land use. And then there are a total of 9 policies. So on two of the easier ones, I converted values into objectives and then actually selected policies to go under that objective. In that, well, mostly that's how Ridgeway did it. They did a really good job.
Ridgeway did a really good job. We don't want to live in Ridgeway, but they did a really good job on their master plan.
In terms of being able to go back out, instead of having 4 values and 9 policies or whatever, they actually had their objectives and policies under it. So that so you can look at specific things like open space, ag land, and take policies that coincide with that open space. And just for me, it was easier I think it'd be more usable than having to, it's kind of like a matrix that you have to do here with 4 values and 9 policies. So, and again, I'd like this is just me, but other people look at it and see in terms of using this document, is it usable as is?
Confusing.
You feel like it's confusing? Yeah, I did too, and
You should look at Ridgeways just for fun. It's a little hard to find because they're like abbreviated portions and then there's the whole thing, but if you can find their plan, it's pretty good.
and I could send it to Samira, and she could send it to all the, because I think all the commissioners have it, but not the trustees.
And Sam sent it to us.
Oh, to the commissioners.
Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe that would help if you sent it to all the trustees as well. And from my perspective, they went at it differently, the way their elements are different. So I'm not suggesting we backtrack to their elements. I'm suggesting we keep our elements that we have here, but parse out objectives and policies to those objectives, which is just gonna take time and thought. And I have to tell you, I stole some of the policies from Ridgeway. I stole one in particular, they had a really good one.
Okay,
Oh,
Lemon and Stefan, who'd like to go first? Glenn?
I'd like to point out that Ridgeway's master plan, at the time, Shay Coburn was the town planner.
really?
Probably why it's been tested.
Okay, Lynn?
And I think also that you mentioned, you know, we were looking at some redundancy across the different sections to kind of consolidate and clean that up.
Some redundant visions.
Yeah. Okay, where are we? Okay, so, any other comments on this agenda item until we move on to the next here? Hiring consultant to finalize maps.
Can I make a comment? Yeah. I just want to say, I'm so appreciative of all the work you all are doing on this. Like, this was so helpful to see all of your comments and how you're gonna address these. So nice work at the table. Thank you. Yeah, just, it's been really helpful for me to see you all, to see this.
It's a little like drinking out of a fire hose.
You're doing a good job.
Okay, so hiring consultant to finalize maps. So, in the statute, it says that the board's been hiring consultants basically, the last board, but in the statute, I think it says that the planning commission does hiring, but it needs approval from the board. I don't know, I'm paraphrasing that terribly, so I don't know. Stefan had some thoughts about someone who had worked with the county, is it, or with the current plan, he's done some of the maps, and he seems to be, or she seems to be, good.
Stefan, could you elaborate on that? Because that's-
I can, so, we do have a local consultant that, has worked on this. I provided the FLUME, the future land use map that you see. And she's able to do this work, but we haven't approached her about continuing anything. If we do, look for a consultant, number one, the planning commission has no budget for this year. It doesn't, it's been exhausted with this consultant, so it would have to be a board of trustees decision, and we would have to get bids. There's no way that we could just do this without trying to get 3 bids. I would anticipate the work is under $5,000, but I don't think we're gonna get a discounted rate anymore.
Paige, do you think approaching this person who has the maps and offering an amount under 5,000 to, do we even have those maps in our possession?
Was there a contract?
The Phoenix Rise.
Yeah, this was a sub-consultant for Phoenix Rising Resources. It's worth reaching out to her to see. But at the end of the day, we're still gonna need 2 more quotes. Even if she's,
Are they sufficient in the form that we're in, or are there gonna need to be any tweaks on their conditions once we identify the statutory requirements that we're looking for?
so in your matrix, There were a number of comments from Paige, from the mayor that showed different maps that were required by statute that were not included in this plan. They were not completed. And, I think you have to look at the original RFP that went out for Phoenix Rising Resources in 22. It was prescriptive in what they were to give as deliverables, and they met those requirements. I think that falls back on poorly written RFP. But we do need to do maps. It needs to be in there. It's probably one of the most important pieces, aside from future land use planning, of a comprehensive plan.
So how much time is that gonna take, do you think, to put out RFPs and to, identify the funding source, put out RFPs, and then it seems like that's doable by February.
I wouldn't suggest doing an RFP. I would suggest doing more of an invitation to bid.
Okay.
And just say, this is exactly what we're looking for. What's your cost? And we get 3 of them.
Okay,
I just have a question on process. Is that something that the board can take action on during this meeting and request staff to move forward with that?
Absolutely. That's the beauty of a joint planning commission and board of trustees meeting.
I'd like to make a motion that we direct staff to move forward with obtaining 3 proposals to provide the maps that are needed to complete the comprehensive plan.
I'll second that.
so is this a, planning commission vote or a board vote at this point? Okay,
I guess
because the.
the
planning
question would be,
commission-
for the planning commission would be, do you want the maps? Do you want to include the maps? I think during your last meeting, you did say yes.
Yeah.
Right, and so that was what I emailed to all of you, everyone. I sent it to all of the planning commission and the board of trustees yesterday.
Okay. So what we have to do is, we need to make sure there's a budget, and we need to, but what you're saying is we kind of need to know what people are gonna be asking, although we're saying it's gonna be around 5,000 or less.
We don't know.
Okay, so we're just trying to get an idea of what it's gonna cost, so the board can budget. Is that correct? Because the planning commission makes the decision to hire the consultant, but the board has to give us the funds to do it, so, okay.
What we have here is a very short time in order to get this done.
Mhm.
And it's gonna take probably 30 to 60 days to get this done. Staff is gonna have to put a packet together and contact the people. Then the people will have to make a decision to submit a bid or an offer. And then we're gonna have to approve it, and then they start work. So we're looking at probably 60 days right now. And if we do not get our extension, we're in the weeds. So this probably needs to be decided tonight, and it needs to be quickly.
I think Dole is gonna extend this, they want us to succeed, and if we're identifying missing elements, it's in their interest to help us move forward.
And I would suggest that tonight's because the trustees can ask work from the administrator. So that would be the vote of the trustees to go ahead and do that
To go ahead and try to get the.
and spend money.
Can I second? Lucy's?
Well,
Regarding to trustee Stelter.
Would you repeat your motion again? Lucy, would you repeat the motion again? It was.
Oh
to-
gosh, do you want to read it back to me?
Please direct staff to move forward with getting the 3 proposals for the maps that are needed for the master plan.
Second. So.
I guess I take all in favor.
Aye.
All right, check on that.
Item goals and objectives. We've kind of talked about what our goals and objectives are.
And I think
I didn't create this agenda, so I'm not quite sure what the thought was behind this. So goals and objectives. We were talking about paring it down a little bit, adding maps to it. Okay, go ahead, Paige.
I was just saying, we already talked about it.
Yeah.
But what we haven't talked about is who's gonna do what,
Mhm.
because this is gonna take some staff time. I am willing to volunteer since I did 2 of the objectives already. that I could go in and try to rearrange the elements that we do have in front of us and try to reconfigure them that way. And I have to admit, I may go to Ridgeway and steal a policy that aligns with ours and do my best. You know, if I see a gap, because the one I found, it was a big gap. I forget what it was. It had to do with staff having the funds to do the work or something. But I think I could do that if you all are comfortable with me just going in and doing some wordsmithing. And when I did mine, I did it all under strike and underline. And I don't know if that was too complicated. Was it really hard to read? Did you read it?
Yes.
Okay, so I could do that again.
No, yeah, that was.
Okay,
worked out.
if you all are okay with that.
Yeah, it looks like.
But we still have missing elements.
Yeah, so I'm a little wondering, because in the statute, it talks about the general location of public places or facilities, including public schools, parks, airports, blah, blah, blah. And it seems like I'm a little confused still by that land use map, because the high school is all in urban agriculture. And it used to be like in a public zone, you know, the schools used to be in a public zone, and so I'm a little bit confused by that. There's some elements on that map that I think might be needed to look at as the planning commission looking that over, but we have some time because we're not gonna get someone else. I don't know if that's part of the map that the contract would look at, or is that? Anyway, go ahead.
I was just I think we have an electronic copy of the flu, correct? So the town is in the position of modifying that.
Okay, okay.
We just don't have the others.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how that happens.
Mhm.
Okay. It's not missing, we've got it.
Right.
Okay. Lynn? Oh, sorry, I saw you, Lucy, but I was looking that way. Okay, Lynn?
There's just one more thing that, this was from Mayor Smith, where you said include a narrative to address the zoning plan for the control of the height, area, bulk, location, use of building and premises. Such a zoning plan may protect and assure access and appropriate conditions for solar, wind, other alternative energy sources, regulations, restrictions of the height, number of stories, size of buildings, other structures, height and location of trees, other vegetation, blah, blah, blah. And that's CRS 3123-206. So is that something that, you know, we should be looking at also? Because that's not included in this plan.
And it's number 8 in the table.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and who is going to be doing that?
I mean,
That's.
do we
a pretty
do the
big
preliminary
number.
work? Is the planning, we're the planning and zoning commission. And so,
You know,
can we look at, we can look at an example, there are examples of these kinds of things elsewhere, right? For, like, you know, so I don't know Ridgeway's home rule, but I'm sure they've got. But, and then, what is our current, I have our current master plan, I don't have it with us, I'm not sure if it's addressed in the current master plan. No,
I would suggest, I don't know if these statutes were in place, but they were probably after 1996. I didn't pay attention to the adoption dates when I was cutting and pasting these, but I bet they weren't there in 1996 would be my guess.
I think some of it would probably be in the house, like the height, blah, 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 of buildings. But I think this is gonna be kind of a major thing to pull together too.
I'm seeing on the footnotes of mine, a lot of things were amended in 2002, 2012, so it might not have been there in 1996. Yeah, okay, Lucy.
I have, I don't know if it's a comment or a question. So again, this CRS section that talks about the master plan, it says, you know, the plan with accompanying maps must, after consideration of each of the following, where applicable or appropriate, show the commission's recommendations for the development of all these items. And I know that this goes towards guiding zoning, but the way I understand it, and you've read this code much more than I have, Commissioner Watson.
No,
so
I
please.
really appreciate you looking at it.
But it, to me, this isn't supposed to be a zoning document. It's supposed to be a guiding document that's more broad strokes. So to me, that particular item doesn't need to be specific. I think that the comp plan should have our intentions for the direction we want to go, but that feels to me more like zoning.
So, at the very beginning of the statute, it says the master plan is an advisory document to guide land development decisions. However, the plan may be part the plan or any part thereof may be binding by the inclusion in the municipality's adopted subdivision zoning plattings, land unit development or other similar land development regulations after satisfying notice, blah, blah, blah.
Right, so it may be included in zoning documents or
Yeah.
used to guide zoning,
Yeah,
but the way I read it, it isn't zoning.
yeah, no, it's not a zoning per se, that's different. Little far around here. Stefan?
There's a really, really distinct difference between zoning and the land use designations. And so that's what we're talking about is this general guide of a land use designation. And while yes, we may have, the planning commission may, adopt or, I don't remember what the exact term is, but accept this master plan by resolution, it's still up to the governing bodies to officially adopt it. So that would be us and the county commissioners, because we do have an outside growth management area that we're talking about. Where you're going with the plan or any part thereof may be made binding by inclusion,
That's not.
that isn't the planning commission.
No,
It
that's
now
the
goes to
one.
the board of trustees, who, after reviewing this document, seeing some things that are suggested, would then make ordinance changes to the land use code. That in itself is a whole nother ballgame.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's something that we come up with and we adopt the plan, but then it's passed on to the board of trustees and they're the ones who make the laws. It's not the planning commission. And we make recommendations as the zoning board, I'd imagine, and the planning commission at that point. We're only making recommendations. The final adoption of code and law is the board of trustees. So, yeah, it says the commission decides to adopt a master plan, so that we do adopt it, but then we pass it on for certification, or I don't know what they call it.
So in my mind, addressing this comment, Commissioner, I'm getting so confused with all the titles. Commissioner Smith's comment, number 8, takes this section out of this CRS, it's quotes, zoning plan for control of height, area, bulk, location, use of buildings, premises. So to me, this document may say the town would like to see control of building height, but wouldn't say
Yeah.
this is what the building heights need to be.
So one thing nice about the Ridgeway plan, and I know we didn't put action items in ours, we actually, I think the consultant took them out at one point, but the funny thing is, there are all these action items in the housing action plan, but we're not seeing them in our zoning plan. And Ridgeway, it's nice because they suggest what the possible action would be, the planning commission. They don't make laws, but they're saying we'd like to see A, B, C, and D. And that's just a recommendation. And, it might be wise to look at some of those statutorily required things, and actually, I don't know if that would make you feel more comfortable in to kind of put our recommendations for those, like how you go about it, and the board can, okay, go ahead.
I was just those,
That's
and I,
adding things.
yeah, I looked at Ridgeways and really, a lot of what they had there would be more strategic planning, which is to meet the comprehensive plan. Because this is to be overarching, and let me just add, I got a comment in here. My comment number 15. So again, looking at Ridgeway, they had a really good description of what a comprehensive plan is for. And then they also had an equally good description of what the land use portion is for. And I would recommend we steal theirs.
As long as it's not copyrighted.
I don't know, it's a public, you think it is?
It's a public.
It's public document.
Yeah, because I read it, because I honestly have been confused. What's this? And it was kind of like, oh, thank you. So that was kind of what I was getting at in my comment 18, was to embellish the introduction to this, to explain the purpose of a comp plan.
Okay,
And then the land use had quite a few bullet points of its used by the decision makers, you know, and keeping this larger desire in mind when making specific decisions on zoning or even approving, let's say, a development. And it kind of clarified it for me.
wait a minute, what comment number did you
It
say?
was number,
18 is something
hang
else.
on, let me look at my good eye. 15,
15.
sorry. So.
The only words.
Both sections were really good, and I actually started doing some of that. I had it on my computer, and then I stopped.
Okay,
Kind of like, okay, I'm getting out there.
okay. Great, okay. So, where are we? Goals and objectives, have we rehashed that one enough?
If you guys trust me to do a draft for you all to see,
If you feel you have the time and.
yeah, I'll make it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
I'll do it. Yeah, and I think it would be a hard thing to do as a group
Yeah,
of wordsmithing.
you gotta start from somewhere.
Right, and then if you have my proposed draft, then you all can have something to work from, you know, for the commission. And to do that.
Okay, if I try to, did you want to set kind of a time frame right now?
Yeah, I'd do better if I do that.
Did you have a question, Lucy?
I was sorry, moving on to the next one.
Okay.
Well, I'll get the draft finished by the 26th of September.
Okay, what day is that? Just
That's a Thursday,
Thursday, okay.
and I'll do it and strike it underline and then give it to Samira to share. Because the next meeting would be, for the planning commission, would be October 2nd.
Okay.
Are you adding elements in your draft or you just revealing?
No, just the existing ones.
Is that a holiday? What's that fine print there? October 2nd. It's not like, it's not. Oh, it's Rosh Hashanah begins at 5.
Okay, we're good. Okay,
Okay, great. So, we got that date, September 20, when did I get that? 26.
would you, okay, raise my hand.
Okay, Paige.
Would you be okay if I did the changes, potential changes to the intro, to the comp plan and to the land use section? And I could strike an underline and show you.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Okay.
It just makes something that we can look at. Okay. Okay, so setting timeline to meet February 28th, 2024 deadline. 20, yeah, sorry, 25 deadline. I knew it was 25, but it's, oops, it's typo here. It's gonna be tired. Okay, Lucy, did you have something you wanted to say about that?
I do. I have a question for Administrator Nguyen. As far as creating a water element, and you've spoken about an existing section that we can pull from that. Who is the we in that statement?
A collective we. I'm a member of this community too. I mean, we live on Third Street, but.
But I mean, would that be staff? Would that be commission?
Staff and commission.
So what would be a potential time frame for staff to create just a draft section for water?
If we're already have a September 26th deadline, I'd say September 27th.
Is that reasonable?
It's already there.
Okay.
You need formal action to instruct you to do so? Or to request?
I would appreciate that. So in the past,
I'd like to make a motion to ask staff to work on the water element of the comp plan due by 9/27.
I'll second that.
And, well, is this a board vote or a planning commission?
I believe only board can direct staff.
I don't know, I think we have the ability in here to utilize staff. Doesn't say this,
If at the board's pleasure,
at the board's pleasure.
as in you have staff.
So do we make a motion to request the board to ask the staff as a planning commission?
Right way to move.
Pardon?
You think so? Would that be good?
It's a great way to.
Okay, so, Missy, you're on the planning commission, would you like to, change that motion to make it a?
Sure, I'd like to make a motion to request the Board of Trustees to instruct staff to work on the water element of the comprehensive plan.
That sounds good, I'll second that. Oh, Lynn seconds, thank you, Lynn. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, board.
I still, my motion still remains, I believe.
So we just have to vote on it.
So we have a
So you
second. I didn't,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. That's one another element.
Thank you. Okay. So that's kind of, that was important. So other than that, we have these regular meetings.
Can we go back to the housing plan and how to get that into the comprehensive plan?
Yeah.
I know it was you guys, it was quite a bit of conversation on
it's-
number 3, and I'm not clear on it myself.
It's like so lengthy or something. Is there some way to distill it some way? Is that what we were kind of talking about?
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, you all, it's, you all didn't know if the housing needs assessment, housing action plan needed to be modified by the trustees prior to incorporation, and if so, is this version then returned to the planning commission to review prior to incorporation? And I don't really know the answer to that.
Okay. Yeah, so, yeah, I think just to continue the thought process that I think we were having, it's like this huge document. And it's a little unclear about how it, I mean, because we're talking about height, bulk density, we're talking about a lot of things in the comprehensive plan, but it's hard to see how that relates to the the housing action plan. A lot of it has to do with increasing density. It's not so much as increasing housing. And I mean, it seemed like there was a big focus in density increasing. So, I don't know. So it'll be interesting to identify some of that and see, you know what, I don't know. I'm not being very clear because it's a difficult one to get here.
Can I suggest that you create objectives and use the housing action plan as a guiding document for the objective and write a short one-page objective for this and maybe a paragraph. And because we're doing a vision, we're not doing details. Doesn't matter what the heights are or density or anything else. What we want is a vision of what we're gonna do.
Like stack and pack? I mean,
That's-
what exactly are we looking for? I mean, it's,
Well, you stated that the objective was greater density and just put an objective that
well, that was
infill and
the,
greater density is what.
yeah,
our
but
vision-
I don't know, when I was looking at the comments that people were submitting about living in Paonia from the public, a lot of people didn't wanna, they wanted balanced growth and just what the housing action plan seems to allow, it recommends, it recommends density in all zones. It's like there's no more R1 anymore because it's all density. And so that's the thing that's confusing about it. It's like, how does it fit in?
Well, and I don't think this plan, the comprehensive plan, that would be zoning.
Mhm.
So that would come later, but I'm not sure. So Stefan, the trustees have accepted the housing, it's already been accepted as is. There's no more changes, other than what to put into, what of it to put in the comp plan.
In the master plan.
And do you think there was some intention to pick up the whole housing needs assessment as an appendix to the comp plan?
That's what it's been.
I don't think so. I think that what we can do is pull out of here objectives and goals or policies that we can put into a housing element, but you would still reference this document as an existing thing, something that was used to inform this decision.
But what did the planning commission, why did this go to the planning commission first, the housing action plan, if it wasn't gonna be part of the comprehensive plan? That's my question. It says standalone document. Why did it go to the planning commission first?
We just said that it will inform a housing element in the comprehensive plan.
Yeah. But I mean, we're not constrained by, we're not like, we don't have to follow, like if it's like allowing ADUs in every single zone on every property or something, it's like, we don't have to.
That's
Yeah, exactly, but that's what the action plan is suggesting.
but
So I'm a little confused, so I guess it's confusing, that's what I'm saying.
I would like to recommend that we ask Stefan to look and create a housing element that includes what's in the statute.
Yeah.
Because his familiarity with that document and familiarity with comprehensive plans. Because I don't feel like I could pull out objectives.
Yeah, and to clarify, I pulled up the housing needs assessment in the action plan on page 68. It says allow for accessory dwelling units. It doesn't say within every zone. It says to allow for ADUs, the town will need to modify the municipal code to establish clear parameters regarding where and under what conditions they are allowed. I mean, this is a guiding document to help inform a comprehensive plan, to help inform a land use code. And at the very beginning, it's in their introduction, it says this is a living document meant to change. And so, what they're saying is, well, what we're saying, because since it has been an accepted document, is, we need to establish clear parameters. And that's what we would do within a comprehensive plan or a housing element that would allow for some things like an accessory dwelling unit. Under what conditions would an accessory dwelling unit be allowed? Those are the things that would be.
I guess the things that I was remembering was get rid of the setbacks, get rid of there were certain like very specific recommendations that were being made.
Not in the housing action plan. That was the separate documents provided by Shay for ordinance changes.
Okay, so
So
that
those
wasn't
have
part
not-
of that.
Right.
Okay.
And none of those have been adopted and don't have to go in front of the public. So
And I think the statute also says now that if we accept money from DOLA for housing, there has to be a housing element in the master plan, and it has to be updated. What is it, every 5 years or something? It's like rather, Stephen, do you remember what the update is? DOLA requires, if you have this housing element, because you've accepted DOLA money for housing, I guess it's that tax money from the vote, we need to find out for that, we only get it, right?
So, but that's not for the housing needs assessment or the housing action plan. That is us certifying that we have met what DOLA's calculator has determined as a number of affordable housing to be built. That's not for this. This is for Prop 123. You're conflating the two,
Okay,
right? Housing needs assessment action plan was one grant.
okay.
Prop 123 is a grant we haven't even applied for yet. We
Oh,
just said we would be interested in it to assist with constructing affordable housing.
is 123 that thing that just passed this year?
Prop 123 was here long before I got
Yeah,
here.
there was something that just passed this year that had to do with housing, and that you have to update the element in your plan every so many years.
yeah, it was for
That's it.
MPOs, municipal planning organizations, of which there are
Yeah.
5 or 6 in the state, and they're almost all on the front page.
Okay, good.
That didn't affect
That
us.
sounds kind of cumbersome.
Yeah.
So, Okay.
They have 25 staff members to do.
Okay, Lynn,
So I'd like to make a motion that we have Administrator Wynn come up with an objective for the housing element of the master plan to work.
You want to rephrase it, so you say you'd like to ask the trustees to ask the administrator?
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
Well, is this like, are we paying for, I mean, is this like an extra charge or something? Is it budgetary that we're
No,
spending on
doesn't.
this? Okay, can I just find, where's the section that talks about, us hiring or us, farming stuff out? Like, what portion of this statute applies to that?
The statute, if I remember right, it
That's
says.
section 3123-205, the commission may appoint such employees as it deems necessary for its work, except that the appointment, promotion, demotion, and removal of such employees shall be subject to the same provisions of law as govern other corresponding civil employees of the municipality. The commission may also contract with the approval of the governing body with municipal planners, engineers, and architects and other consultants for such services as it requires. The expenditures of the commission, exclusive of gifts, shall be within the amounts appropriated for the purpose of by the governing body, which shall provide the funds, equipment, and accommodations necessary for the work.
Okay, thank you. So the contractor, we obviously need board approval for that, but can the planning commission, it sounds like we may ask the staff to come up with stuff for us?
Yeah, except the so shall be subject to the same provisions of laws govern other corresponding civil employees of the municipality.
What's that?
That means that those laws governing us as staff that have been adopted by the Board of Trustees have to be followed. In this case, the board has said that no boards or commissions may direct staff. And so that's why you're going back to the Board of Trustees for direction.
So does the mayor have general overview over the administrator still in that resolution that Mary used to have? So is that our planning commissioner?
No, I'm not the
Member.
mayor and the commission.
No, but I mean, as a commissioner, you're also the mayor of the board and you have that.
I don't think I get to wear the same hat
Okay,
as a commissioner.
okay.
And I
You're not
can't,
liaison.
I don't feel like I could direct the work solely by
I
myself
see.
as mayor.
I thought maybe you were a liaison. in that
No,
sense.
because a single person can't direct work of staff, the board has to do it.
Okay.
So I just am
Okay.
somewhat the gatekeeper when it
So,
comes to agendas.
Lynn's motion, do we have a second? And,
I think I have to rephrase it.
okay,
So I'd like to make a motion to ask the Board of Trustees to ask Administrator Wynn to come up with an objective statement for the housing action plan or for the housing element of the master plan.
I think we need more than that.
You need more.
I feel like, and the reason I say that is housing shows up multiple times in this document. And I think my comment was that 14 references to the housing needs assessment action plan in here. So I feel like he needs to go in and extract pieces, maybe pull some stuff from other places to create the housing element and clean up where it's mentioned
Commissioner Howe,
27 times.
if you amended it to include objectives, goals, and policies. That should suffice.
Thank you.
I'll make an amendment. I'll amend my motion to ask the trustees to ask Administrator Wynn to come up with objectives, goals, and policies for the housing element of the master plan. I'll second that.
all those in favor?
All right.
Discussion, any more discussion, sorry. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So,
Who would like to make a motion from the trustees to do this very thing?
I'd like to have the board direct Administrator Wynn to make objectives and policies and values.
Objectives, goals, and policies.
Objective goals and policies for the housing unit and the positive, and
Element.
element. There we go.
I'll second it. All in favor? No more discussion? Oh, yes.
So I really appreciate this. In the past, when I've been asked to do things with this master plan, there have been comments made, public comments made, that I was doing so without any direction. And I think it's very important that this direction, this very formal approach is necessary until this process is done. Thank you.
Any more discussion on this next section? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
Okay, does anybody have any closing comments or anything? Kathy?
Can I make a comment? Sure. Okay, I just have a question about like, what's our deadline for the planning to commission to approve, to then bring it before the board of trustees? So if we know that February 28th is our ultimate deadline, when, like, and you may not have to decide this now, but it's like, will there be a more public review? What does
There has to be
that
hearings.
rest of that process look like? And maybe that can be something that you all could bring back to the board of trustees. I just want to see it mapped out until the end.
There has to be hearings and stuff involved, and so both for the, it's for the planning commission. I don't know if the town board needs a hearing, do they?
They would, so,
There-
yeah,
So
and
kind of go backwards from that date.
I can go to the procedures of commission. So the procedures, this is section 3123-208 of the Colorado revised statutes. The commission may adopt the plan as a whole by a single resolution, or may, by successive resolutions, adopt successive parts of it. Said parts corresponding with major geographical sections or divisions of the municipality, or with functional subdivisions of the subject matter of the plan, and may adopt any amendment or extension thereof or addition thereto. Before the adoption of the plan or any such part, amendment, extension, or addition, commission shall hold at least one public hearing thereon, notice of the time and place of which shall be given by one publication in a newspaper of general circulation in the municipality and in the official newspaper of the county affected. The adoption of the plan, any part, amendment, extension, or addition shall be by the resolution of the commission carried by the affirmative votes of not less than 2/3 of the entire membership of the commission. The resolution shall refer expressly to the maps and descriptive and other matter intended by the commission to form the whole or part of the plan, and the action taken shall be recorded on the map and plan in descriptive manner by the identifying signature of the chairman or secretary of the commission. An attested copy of the plan or part thereof shall be certified to each governmental body of the territory affected, and after the approval by each body shall be filed with the county clerk and recorder of each county wherein the territory is located. That's why I'm saying not only do we have to do it public hearing by the board of trustees after the planning commission certifies a copy, but then also the board of county commissioners, because we have a growth management area. And I think it's really important to say notice of the time and place of which shall be given by one publication in a newspaper of general circulation in the municipality, and then this other caveat, and and in the official newspaper of the county affected. So whatever the Board of County Commissioners' official publication is, we'd also have to publish it there.
Simultaneously or?
If they have the DCI as theirs, I think it would be simultaneous, and we're fine, we're good.
So there had been some discussion if there were like portions that weren't required by statute that we just didn't have time to get to. I know I hate to say that we'd extend it, but if there is a statutory requirement for some things and we have to meet that DOLA deadline, that's, that's what we were like talking about, and that's what Stefan was kind of alluding to in the statute there. But it doesn't mean that there couldn't be some additions added to the master plan if something was necessary, desired.
They're made to be amended.
Yeah, or amended, yeah. Okay, yeah, sorry.
So, yeah, I was gonna reiterate that it is supposed to be a living document, and I know that there are plenty of well-justified feelings that we haven't stuck with that in the past to make it a living document and keep going on it, and that's on us to do. But I'm also wondering if I can get some help from staff now working backwards So let's operate under the very optimistic assumption that we get a DOLA extension to February 28th. Given the notice in the hearings and everything that we need to do at the board level, at the county level, working back, where does that put us as a planning commission to say, here's a document we're happy with?
I actually have a question about that, not to interrupt you, but so what is, not to like parse things out, but we are in a time crunch. So what does DOLA actually require by the 28th? Is it the planning commission adoption? Is that the final goal, or is it, are they saying that, you have to have it certified by the county?
I don't
And the
think
board?
So it has to be it has to be recorded with the county clerk, so
And that's a DOLA requirement?
absolutely.
Okay, I mean, to get the money is, I'm just wanting to see this agreement that we have with DOLA and, what.
I showed it at a public meeting and read it to you
Okay,
in a public meeting.
okay, I wasn't there. It would be
You
nice.
were here, you asked the question, I answered it, but can I answer the trustees' question really quick? Or this plan commissioners? So, what we've got is, February 28th would be our be all end all. That means the county's gotten it on. We're getting ready to be in budget season, not just for us, but the county as well. Which means their meetings are gonna be pretty full. Our meetings are gonna be pretty full. We're gonna have a pretty full plate. If we were to start looking at a November 1st deadline for the planning commission to be done with their work, to have a certified copy ready to go to the board of trustees, for that first meeting in December, the board of trustees' first meeting in December, I think that would put the gas into the county commissioners to have something, if not in December, their first meeting in January.
Sorry.
They are really.
How often does the planning commission meet?
The
The
Board of
county commissioners,
I
I
can look that up.
didn't know if they had two meetings that we have to try to juggle to get on their agenda.
And we have a meeting with Commissioner Coons coming up that we can prep
Ask.
for
Yeah.
this, so.
That's a lot to do by November 1st.
May I suggest, when we have too much work to do for the board of county, for the town board, we have work sessions. And budget time comes, we're probably gonna have at least 2 work sessions a month, minimum. And I suggest that the planning commission meet more than once in a month, maybe twice or 3 times in a month to get this work done.
We have to ask commissioners to see if that's really,
That's-
like Pete.
Well,
You've got to get 2/3 of the commissioners to vote on this.
But it
So-
seems like there's iterations to be looked at.
Yeah, exactly.
And that might be,
Okay, Stefan?
Yeah, the board meetings of the county commissioners, the first and third Tuesdays of each month.
First and third Tuesday. 20. Oh, Kathy?
Yeah, so I know that at the last Board of Trustees meeting, I was intent on having a solid deadline, let's just get this done, but as I'm hearing this whole process, would it help if was February 28th our self-imposed deadline? So could we move it back a month to give us or even 2 to give us breathing? We all want to get this thing done and we want to do it right, can we give ourselves a little bit more breathing room here without stressing staff, without stressing our volunteers? Is that reasonable?
Be nice to have a discussion with Dola about that. Is that what you're?
Well, we have to go to them with a date that says we're gonna finish it by this date.
Yeah.
And what if we said it was
we haven't done that yet.
April 30th? We have a little bit of time.
April 1st. I'm
Well,
kidding.
that's what, I am
I'm
curious,
kidding.
they asked, Town Administrator Wynn, what would be your thought on that?
We started this process in 2022.
Yeah.
We've already gotten 1 extension. Whatever we ask for, we better make sure that it is it. And that we're ready to have this adopted by both the board and the Board of County Commissioners.
worried about the county commissioners.
So you know what? Maybe we need to ask for, like Kathy's suggesting, something farther out and let DOLA say, no, that doesn't work. You gotta be sooner. So ask for more and then you can settle for less. Shoot for the stars.
We've already submitted our request.
We have.
No, not yet.
No.
Yeah, so the board did make the decision for February 28th. I think that's a pretty good deadline.
See, I'm really worried about getting on the agenda for the
And
planning,
there's
the
Christmas
county
coming up.
commissioners. That's got me worried,
Budget.
that we're at their mercy if that has to be done. So that's why I'd almost like to give us a little bit more time.
And if you remember, January, February, those are kind of slow months as far as town business, usually in the past, historically. There have been a lot of canceled meetings.
That's not accurate in our office at all. That's end of year closeout phase. That's, yeah.
That was like saying
But
the
it-
Q word.
For the month.
What's the Q
But I mean,
We're not saying it.
We're not saying it.
anyway, go ahead.
Well, it seems, so it was a motion by the board to impose the February 28th deadline, or it's not a leap year service. So it seems reasonable, since the board's here, which is another, to extend it a bit, if the board is more comfortable with that. But I don't know, I'm worried about the planning commission. I did not realize that we need their blessing in order for DOLA to say, you are good to go, here's your money.
It's actually the 3 board of county commissioners, the 3-member board of county commissioners.
Right.
Three boards.
Oh,
No,
what?
just the one, the 3 county commissioners.
Yeah, no, a board of county commissioners meeting, right?
But
And they
I'd
have to
like to
approve it.
remind people that they don't hold the second meeting in December either. We cut ours out. So from November 12th, we have 3 meetings. That's it for that. That's where we're at. If we have this document ready to go on November 12th, we send it to them. There's 2 meetings that they can get it on the agenda and get it approved. We're not counting January.
Well,
But the other thing is that we're not guaranteed of an extension. The extension is, it would be great, but I wouldn't count on it.
So again, why not ask for what you think, oh, sorry, Lucy, well, go ahead.
I know we all want this to be a document that we can be proud of. We really can keep working on it. I am afraid we're not even gonna get this DOLA extension. So what I'm looking at is, staff's gonna be working on the 2 new elements. We're getting bids from consultants to do the maps. So it's a little bit of wordsmithing, maybe more than a little bit, some wordsmithing. But we don't want to go in and rewrite it. Like, I think we have all discussed the amount of community input and we're all happy with that. There's tweaks that we want to make as a commission. Why don't we meet every week? In October, I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot for saying this, but staff's gonna have those sections to us, at least one of them by the end of September, maybe both of them by the end of September. We can meet plenty of times in October, and then the first meeting is November 6th with the goal of having a finalized document on our November 6th meeting.
I'm not sure my work schedule would allow that. And you're gonna need a vote of 2/3 of the planning commission, and Pete's not here. You're gonna need to get a planning commission that wants to go along with that to get a plan to even pass. So you've got to be respectful of the members, and unfortunately, we're not here to discuss that right now.
I mean, it's a hardship on me too. I'm a business owner. I work all the time. I have a family, but
Sorry, this is Roland. Hi, Roland. Is there an irrigation issue?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm at a meeting right now. Okay. Yes, Paige and Shane's, line goes across Second Street. It goes down that alley behind me and it goes under the Second Street. And it goes to, what's your address?
215.
215
And 209.
and 209. On Delta.
Shade.
Okay. Okay. You,
To be clear, we will still have a public hearing once the final draft is ready.
okay.
So at that time,
Okay,
you know, can be discussed. I think,
there's an irrigation issue.
but shooting for that.
Can you say that again? I didn't hear everything. Sorry.
That was-
We will still have to have a public hearing, you
Yeah.
know, for the final draft to adopt it, and, you know, so, even though we might not have all of our commissioners here to make the sausage, at the end of the day, you know, you're still going to have a final draft that will have been given to you and plenty of time to review so that you can make an informed decision on whether or not to adopt it, you know, or make edits and then set another time for adoption. I would certainly hope that if in that period of time, let's say it's 2 weeks, that you've got this final draft ready for this public hearing as a plan commission member, that you would send any requested edits to staff or to the, you know, to maybe one designated plan commission member to make sure that those edits get done before that public hearing. I mean, there's no reason why we have to continue to push this off. We are at the finish line. There's been, and to quote Trustee Hunter, we have discussed this ad nauseum with the public. And so this is something that has gathered many comments from people at many different public hearings, at many different public meetings to gather that public input. We're so close that I think these final tweaks, and you know, September 27th, I wasn't planning to be here. I was planning to be at Casa Bonita. I'm going to push that off again to make sure that I meet that deadline, so that we have it, if I do it on October 24th and it's Colette's birthday, I'm fine. So, but to move it, to make sure that this is done, this is too important to continue, you know, getting into postponing and moving down the road. We're so close. We're so close.
I don't know, I just think that if you're giving, asking DOLA with a specific date, I mean, I don't understand why there can't be a little bit more of a discussion with DOLA to find out what is, I don't like the pressure. I don't like the pressure tactic, and I don't know, is that coming from DOLA? Or is it just coming from the town trying to get us to like,
This
yeah.
has been going on for 2 years.
I don't care, it wasn't done right, and that's the thing, is because the planning commission, they weren't following. We didn't have an administrator that understood the master plan, and things were really going south. The mayor didn't understand it. And I mean, we're really at the last moment trying to pull it together, and I think we're doing an admirable thing here. And it's taking a lot, it's work and it's time. And we're doing the best we can. And I think DOLA, I don't understand why DOLA would be so hard-nosed, because we might not end up with a plan if they want to be hard-nosed. Okay, Paige?
I was just gonna read the letter. This is the
Okay.
draft.
Yeah,
what has
because
to
I
be in
haven't
it.
seen all this.
This
I
is in-
haven't seen the agreement
This was in
from
Tuesday's
DOLA.
packet.
Yeah, okay.
So the letter needs to meet the following criteria and include the following information: be an official letterhead, be signed by the chief elected officer, program acronym, project number, and project name, provide specific reasons why the project work could not be completed in the original previously amended time schedule. New requested expiration date. It has in parentheses 1 year is suggested and approximate percentage complete. And so they need to know how much percentage is complete right now to be put in the letter. They want a new requested expiration date. They say 1 year is suggested. So it's really the time frame the trustees did was to expedite this. We don't want to wait a year to get it done because there's been so much time. So those are the elements that the information that needs to be provided in the letter. And let me just read. The contract for the Paonia Comprehensive Plan is due to expire 9/30/2024. It's expired. You have 90 days to complete the closeout of your grant once it expires. However, all billable expenses and work will need to be completed prior to the expiration date in order to be eligible for reimbursement. If you do not think this is sufficient time to complete the work, you'll need an email from your chief elected with a letter attached. So they know we didn't do it. We can't submit our bills. We can't get any paid back, right, Stefan? We can't get reimbursed because we haven't finished. So we have about $20,000 on the table. 15,000 on the table. So then we have to give them another date. And the percentage currently complete. So
As it is right now, we've already straddled fiscal year 2022, fiscal year 2023, fiscal year 2024. And now we're proposing to straddle fiscal year 2025. That's 4 years of budget planning.
Kathy?
Over.
There was some discussion, I believe that Administrator Wynn had a discussion with DOLA about this, and they suggested the February number as the optimal to get approval.
I don't know about that.
I thought that's what I heard him say.
Is that so?
Sorry,
When you,
I'm getting in trouble for saying that rather be here than my daughter's birthday, which is not what I said. So just for
That's not what you
clarification,
said.
I said I'd rather reschedule Casa Bonita for October 24th. So I'm sorry, what was?
with DOLA, there was some discussion during the meeting that you had talked with the DOLA representative about scheduling, and he suggested the February 25th.
That's not what I
That's not
said.
it?
No, that's something that we said, we need to get this done. And February 28th should give us enough time to get all of these comments and edits put into a final draft so that the planning commission is ready to have it for a final public hearing, get it approved, get it over to the board for approval, and then over to the Board of County Commissioners.
Okay, Kathy.
Okay, I'm wondering if we did till March 30th, so right now it's, I think, 6 months to finish it. If we went February 28th, we're already perhaps extending it over into budget year 2025. Based on the fact that we have to have a public hearing and go to the Delta County Commissioners, I'm wondering if we push it back just 1 month and say March 30th. Because we do have the holidays coming up. There's all these things that are outside of our control. It still keeps moving it forward and gives us just a little bit of cushion. So that would be my proposal, is maybe we say March 30th. Just accounting.
If we get it done sooner, yay.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
But this,
yeah.
it accounts for Delta County, which is something I definitely was not thinking about. So that would be.
You want to make a motion to that effect? Because
Oh, yeah.
we need a new motion to, Sam, clerks, can we override that motion from Tuesday night?
Yeah, you can make a motion to rescind, or you can't.
Mm-hmm. So we need that and then a new motion? Not, you don't want them combined in the same motion?
No, that has to be two separate ones,
Okay.
and you need a supermajority to rescind it, because it hasn't been publicly noticed ahead of time, so.
Super majority means.
Yeah, I think there's a super majority, right? There's 4 trustees, is that a super majority or no?
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So can we do a motion that contradicts the other motion and then put it on the agenda and
Yeah.
rescind the old motion?
Just,
Get to rescind the motion.
First.
You have enough people to do it. You can-
Oh.
I mean, after.
Okay.
I make a motion that we rescind our February 28th deadline for for potential DOLA extension.
For a second? Are you still thinking or no second? Discussion.
But yeah, I was thinking you could postpone and plan forever. You know, there's always something else that you'd want to add to it. And I actually know some people who can't stop planning and never implement their plan because they think the plan is complete. And I think it's it sounds like that's what's happening here. About, continually postponing a deadline.
I can vote no, and I'm sure if there's one other commissioner that votes no, you're not gonna have a plan. It has to be voted on and approved by the.
Point
planning
of order,
commission.
that feels like a threat, please.
No, I'm just saying, let's be realistic here. It's like, I don't like the pressure.
But
I
that
mean,
sounded
I
a lot
work
like
for
a
the
threat.
post office, you don't know what this upcoming season is, we have the election, we have the holidays. It's really difficult as a working person to be able to be in attendance with everything, I mean, there's a lot to go over. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not, okay,
Are we in discussion?
Well, Sam has her hand up, so let's hear what Sam says, and then.
I just wanna put you guys back out there just so you know that dies for lack of second.
Mhm.
So you guys went just way past that, and you
Okay.
probably should pull it back.
Okay.
did you have a comment?
I think that we can expedite this in a way. We have this document here with yeses and nos. If we can agree to incorporate the yeses, then we have the ones that need to be worked on. I agree with Commissioner Hunter that we have more work sessions and or we each take an element and work on it and then bring it to a work session so that we're not having to, we just can have it consolidated at the work session. Because there aren't that many elements that need to happen other than the ones that are going to be taken over.
I would like to be involved, I'm on the planning commission, and I will not have time to unpeak either, he doesn't have time for, he was saying that he only wanted to meet once a month. And so to get him on board too is gonna be difficult. And I mean, I know if just the retired people here have time to do this kind of stuff, it's great, but you're cutting out. I'm talking about, I mean, Paige is doing it exceptional work.
I have other things. in
Yeah,
my life
I
too.
know, but I mean, it just, I just think that it would be nice to be as inclusive as possible.
I think that we can compromise and come up with some way that we can do this. I just don't see it as being that difficult and time-wise, because we've already gone through, all these comments, and that was the final comment period. We have yeses and nos, so we can throw the nos out if the work session here agrees on those.
And then I'd also like to have a device so I can expedite this. I do not have a computer. And it's really hard to do Word or anything with these little edits when I'm doing everything by hand on amounts of paper. And I have like a different, I mean, I've been thankful for the staff for printing things out for me, but it's incredibly difficult and it's very inefficient. And I know that we have devices that I could use a tablet.
But I think, there's like 3 or 4 pages taking one of them. I'd be willing to take one of them. If you would be willing to take one, I think that cleans it up.
What do you mean, I'm taking one from you?
Where you're doing the, changing the items from.
Oh, the objective, and I'm gonna do that for all the elements.
Yes, so that was one of the suggestions.
Oh, you're.
I'm just saying that in here, we had the essence of things that we wanted to change. A lot of it was wordsmithing. So it wasn't even, making, anything completely new or different.
So all Kathy was suggesting is 1 month. What's so difficult about at least trying for 1 more month? It's only 30 days. Okay, Stefan?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the August 19th planning commission meeting minutes, the draft, I know you guys didn't approve them, but it says Commissioner McCarthy outlines items to be completed and suggests a full planning commission board is needed. He continued by suggesting a timeline of September 4th at the joint meeting, asking the board what is needed from Phoenix Rising, setting another planning commission meeting mid-September for working on the formatting, another meeting mid-October for adding the missing elements, and possibly ready for passing in November.
Yeah, at the last meeting, he had changed his mind.
This was the August 19th meeting.
Yeah, but I mean, at this last meeting, he, from what I heard, that he was like saying that he wasn't in agreement with that anymore. He couldn't come to that many meetings.
Point of order, is that in the notes, in the minutes? of
They
the
haven't been
meeting?
approved yet.
So we have a copy of the minutes. I suggest that we read the minutes.
Yeah, they haven't been, did we approve the August 19th? one?
Those are the only ones you guys pulled out.
Yeah, we pulled them out.
Was that part of what you wanted to fix?
Yeah, well, I'd like to ask, McCarthy, is that what his plan was? Because he seemed to have changed his tune the last time we talked. Yeah, go ahead. But what I'm saying is, I think it was after the last meeting, he was saying that he didn't have time like that anymore, and he wants to make sure it gets done right. And he didn't have time for these, multiple meetings every month. He's a family guy. So really, it doesn't really matter even what he said at that moment. I think he's kind of coming to his own realizations too. So I don't like the pressure. You know. Lucy?
What do you see as the path forward, given the constraints?
I think Kathy's suggestion of giving us 30 more
But
days.
that died for lack of a second. That is not on the table. So as it stands, we have till the end of February. So if you're telling me that the people, can I please finish? The people who have volunteered to be on this commission that want to make this plan a good one and get it approved, don't have the time to put in. What do you suggest for a course of action, given that right now the deadline is the end of February?
We do 30 more days at least. Because what do you suggest if your plan doesn't pass? It needs a majority of the planning commission to pass. And what if it doesn't pass? What are you gonna do then, board?
It looks like maybe trustees could do some of the work
Well, to pass it?
to get the document ready to make
Wow.
February 28th.
You know what? I've gotta go to work tomorrow morning and it is 8:30 right now. So it sounds like we're kind of at an impasse at this point.
Well, I guess I'm wondering, sorry.
Okay, please.
So we have 2 new elements coming. We're gonna get maps, but that's the one outlier. We do not know the time frame on the maps. And maybe we need to revisit that when we find out when maps are available. And we need some narrative to go with the maps. That's not been assigned. If I recreate the elements, it's really sounds like there would be a complete document, if we know when the maps can come in, for everyone to review, for the planning commission to look at, and then make their final comments.
I'm not gonna
And
be a
have that-
rubber stamp.
What's that?
I'm not gonna be a rubber stamp.
Well, why not say to do that by October 2nd? We're not asking you to do the work.
Yeah, I
The work is
know,
being
but
done by others.
I
that
know,
there
but
could be
I
a
would like to
draft.
be involved in the work too.
Well, we can't,
I mean, I'm volunteering here as a citizen.
well, it seems to me
I'm
if
giving
you
up
have,
my time.
if you have a draft to review on October 2nd, isn't that helping? You haven't offered to write anything. You're just gonna review
Yeah,
it.
I would really like to have a device. I really would like to.
I'm
be
sorry, the
involved in
town at this point, we don't have a policy to give citizens town property.
I'm
That's
a
the
planning
problem.
commission member.
Yeah,
and-
I
and
can't
you-
answer that
you
till we
can't.
talk to the,
Okay, so we have a
attorney.
joint meeting here with the board. I mean, I don't
it's not
understand why this
agendized.
is
We
a,
can't do that
I
right
don't
now.
understand why this is such a problem.
I can't understand why you wouldn't be willing to review a draft in time for an October 2nd.
I would like to
meeting.
be involved in some of the writing.
But you have not identified what you want to write.
Okay, I would like to, okay, I'll tell you what it is.
Okay.
I was looking at the Ridgeway plan. I like the, how they went about the, description of, what was allowed and the different, and, what is that, the land use
With the
plan?
pictures?
With the pictures.
You could get that
And-
done.
No, I can't, Paige.
By the end of
I'm
September?
doing it by hand. I have a very busy schedule coming up here. And I don't feel like.
I'm
it's
sorry,
pressured.
but if that's not that big a section, I'm very familiar with
And I'm
it.
doing it all by hand.
I'm
Do
sorry,
you realize how difficult that is?
I'm sorry. I can't help you
I
right
know,
now.
so it takes time is what I'm saying. You can't cut and paste and do things. You've got to do it all longhand. You know how difficult
I'm
that
sorry,
is?
Suzanne, but
I'm sorry too, Kate.
that would be a piece that you could do that would be, it's pretty,
Yes,
it's
and
only
I'm
a few
gonna need,
pages.
I don't have the technology to do it.
But there's only a few pages
No,
in Ridgeway.
anyway,
Okay.
so
Sorry to argue,
I
but
don't see us moving forward at this point, you?
Suzanne, I'd be willing to, I don't know if this is, you could do this as a planning commission, but I do have a computer. And to sit down with you and help you, write it on the computer as
Yeah,
you
I mean,
go.
I know how to use computers.
I know, but I mean, I'd be willing to sit down with you and we could work through.
Yeah, I know Pete McCarthy offered to give me a computer and Bill Brunner did too. How do you feel about that?
I'm sorry, we're not gonna solve that right now.
Exactly.
I'm just.
It's not gonna get solved now.
Basically,
That's a very
I'm
nice
just trying
offer.
to find a way forward
Thank you.
and, and
Okay.
if we maybe would, work together on it and you told me what you wanted and I went ahead and put it in, we looked at it, we could get it
Okay,
done.
we can talk about that.
So with that in mind, is it not unreasonable to suggest that we have the first draft with everything we've just talked about to be ready? Well, I'm gonna back up my time frame because if we want to have a draft to review on October 2nd, we all need to get our parts together to make it one complete document. I'd say by maybe the 23rd.
Our first meeting is October 8th.
No, planning commission.
Right.
Planning commission needs to see it first.
Our first meeting is the 8th.
Right, but-
They could have a meeting as late as the 6th.
Well, I'm suggesting that we stick with the planning commission's first Wednesday of the month and have a draft available for the planning commission to review by the middle of the week.
I said that Monday is a better day for me because I know where I'm gonna be on Monday.
Okay, I don't know that. We can switch it,
Yeah,
except do you know the other commissioners can do that?
no, I mean, I don't know.
Because that puts it at Monday the 7th. If that were the case, Sam, is it possible to switch with the commissioners voting?
We've never voted on when our regular meeting is. That's one thing I wanted to establish this summer. I wanted a resolution that actually said when our meetings were to formalize things.
Well, and I don't know, this wasn't agendized, so I don't know if we can change the meeting. For the commission?
I am happy to set a meeting for whatever day the planning commission wants to do it. They just need to let me know.
Okay, so it doesn't need a resolution at this point.
I don't think so.
Okay, so let's look at Monday the 7th. And then we could have a draft for everybody to see. I think people need at least 5 days to review this, at least. So I'm gonna up my deadline for doing all the goals and objectives stuff to the 20th. And I will get that done. And then Administrator Wynn, could you get your water and housing elements done then? And go to Casa Bonita?
I think so. I'm almost done with our management discussion analysis letter for the audit, which will be on our next board of trustees meeting.
How does Monday work as far as holidays? Are we talking about the first Monday?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're looking through the months,
You can just take it just for the next few months. There's no holidays. and
Yeah, there's no
okay,
holidays for the end of the year.
okay. Just another question, but go ahead.
I'm just thinking if we can get our content, somebody's gonna have to put the whole thing back together. Stefan, are you comfortable with that? Or I could volunteer to do it if I have if you're comfortable with me doing it, if I have all the pieces by the 20th. I'll have my parts done, and then we could have the draft available on the 26th for a meeting on the 7th, so that the planning commission can see the new and improved draft.
This is what I'm trying to say is that I've already let the board know I will not be in town or reachable October 5th through the 10th.
That's okay, because this is the planning commission's piece.
And I'm on my phone.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, here, oh, right there on my calendar, I got Lucy going, Lucy back, sorry. So what about the 14th? course, you would like some time. to-
I'm also available the week before, on the fourth, and the third, and the second, and the first.
You want to do it on the first, Tuesday the first, or Monday? Monday is the 30th of September, so we'd be expediting these pieces being
No,
done.
that's not good. What's the after that? What do you have after that? Okay. Well, can you zoom in?
Mm-mm. She's not zoomable.
Okay.
Thank you for the reminder, even though it's right in front of me.
Well, we don't even know if Pete can make it.
Well,
So
if
it's a
we're,
little
we're going
difficult.
out far enough that we could figure out a day in October. Because what I'm suggesting is let's have everybody have their pieces done for compilation on the, I'm just gonna say, the 25th of September. And then they can all be compiled. And well, that makes it tough for a beginning, a meeting before Lucy goes.
Yeah.
But we could move it back to everybody have their pieces done by,
That's
I go-
not gonna work.
I go back to the
This,
20th.
this month already, that makes it, that's too difficult.
Well, I think you,
That's too difficult.
you can't
I
do that in
can't
the
do that.
afternoon?
No, I can't do that.
Okay, then Suzanne, we're kind of in a bad, we're trying to be accommodating.
I know, so let's go into October. Doing this, like, trying to expedite it in this month is not realistic.
Well, I'm trying to meet the
Yeah,
dates you'd like.
okay, so is there something after Lucy's back?
Well, that's a weekend,
Yeah,
and then we're looking at the well, Lucy probably should have some time to review it.
The office. will
The
be
14th is
October
closed,
14th.
it's a holiday.
14th is closed, and our meeting is on our town meeting is on the 15th and the 29th.
oh, okay.
Town meeting should be 8th and the 22nd.
Yeah.
God.
So the 15th is open.
So, I'm wondering if that following Tuesday after Columbus Day, I should be here, but I'm imagining I have to work.
What does, I don't know when Columbus Day is,
It's not
The 14th.
the mini writing.
but you're closed. The town's closed on Monday.
Absolutely, we are closed on the 14th.
Okay, it has to be
I'm
the
probably gonna
15th.
work on the 14th, and I'll work here on the 15th, I'm sure, so I'll be around.
So if we want to get that the final draft will be available for the planning commission on Tuesday the 15th.
Okay.
And it will, with this time involved, then maybe we say the compilation of the draft. Lucy, does that give you enough time to
Yeah.
review it?
Yeah.
If it's on the 15th?
Yes, I'll make it work.
Okay, then let's have the compilation of the draft done by the 9th of October, which allows, if it's sent out the 9th, 10th, 11th, that'd be 12, or that'd be 5 days plus the weekend to review it for the commission.
Okay.
Did we decide on October 15th?
Yes. It's a Tuesday. Is town hall available that day?
As long as you guys do it at about 6:30, so it doesn't interfere with the tree parties.
Is that good? And the compiled draft will be available on October 9th for the commission.
Yeah,
Okay, and there's no reason that the trustees can't look at it at the same time. This is,
I would rather not have a joint board meeting.
no, I don't mean a meeting, I'm just saying they could read it,
Oh,
but
yeah,
not
they
come to
can
the
read it.
joint meeting.
Yeah.
No, I agree, I think it should be
Yeah.
the planning commission talks about the document, but I don't think it
Yeah.
hurts for the trustees to get a heads up.
Yeah.
Since it's a lot to read, so we'll have the compiled document done on October 9th. Okay. Do we need a motion to this effect? And Stefan, did you hear the outcome?
No.
Comprehensive plan meeting on Tuesday the 15th. The recompiled draft will be completed on October 9th and provided to everyone, trustees and commissioners, but only the commissioners will meet on the 15th to go over that latest draft. So then how's that do for us to still make February? I think we could do it.
I think it's possible.
Okay.
And where are the maps? When is that coming in?
I don't know.
It would be kind of interesting to find out from the county what the reality is of getting.
On the agenda, we'll know
on
that.
the agenda.
We'll find that out.
Next week.
Yep. We're gonna meet with, commissioners, whatever day that is.
If you can call Abby.
Yeah, and let's maybe give them a heads up to get on their agenda. And is that something they would just approve at their agenda? You know, it wouldn't,
They want to see it before.
right, but we'd have to find out when they need it. It's a big document, so, okay. All right, if you could do that, all right.
We have 6 months. We can do this.
Mhm.
I think we're gonna be okay.
Okay, so do we need a motion for meetings? Or can we just go forth and conquer?
Can I just clarify and make sure I have them?
Sure,
So I'm not, your deadlines are your deadlines,
Yeah.
but so you wanna have a meeting October 15th, 6:30 PM, just the planning commission for them to go over the draft, right?
That-
Okay.
with the four of
Please
us.
and thank you.
Mhm.
Please and thank you.
Okay. And everybody should send their sections to Stefan. And he and I could work on compiling. And if everybody could get their sections
But
done,
what date are you talking?
I don't know, I'm scribbled all over my calendar. Since we,
Stick with the original, what, the 27th?
was it, the-
And
yeah,
then
What's the 26th?
The 26th.
I was shooting for the
Then I
26th.
was the 27th.
Oh,
So should we, let's shoot,
That's, it's not realistic for me.
okay, well,
I mean, you don't
We can put it
understand
in.
how busy I actually am.
That's okay. I need a deadline that's sooner. And if you
Yeah.
can get your pieces to Stefan by 7th,
Okay, as long as.
then we
it's
can
not-
incorporate them in. And if you and Lynn can work together through some of that, does the 7th work for your piece?
Maybe, yeah.
And we're, to clarify,
I just have this floating job, so I never know when, I mean, it's nice that Lucy can plan it to have a week off, but I don't know what. I'm
We're gonna ask you to do your best. You're
Yeah,
gonna, I mean, we are putting some dates down and we wanna have the compiled document done by the 9th. So if you could have your section to Stefan by the 7th, that would give us time to incorporate it in. Because we're gonna have other pieces done sooner. So it would be, yours might be the last thing to incorporate in that you and Lynn are working on. And Lynn, you don't have any pieces you're doing singularly,
No,
other than your comments in the table.
Can I just clarify that that's comment with Suzanne, is that comment number 8, the zoning portion thing? Is that the one?
Yeah, but there's this, yeah. What, I don't know what the portion that I was referring to about the nuisance on the LUF.
Oh. Oh, I don't know about
But,
that.
you know,
This is
with
the
that,
height.
because they're like, it's like, it's kind of interesting when you read it, it's like what's allowed in the different. Field.
Well, then, yeah, modify those headings. You're talking about the overarching land use categories that you want to try to get in some of this height requirement, like. I say, make some changes.
Yeah.
Offer them up.
So I'm curious about the land use map as well.
That'll have to come later, I think. I think we wouldn't want to do anything to the map till we have complete agreement on all the land use categories. And then see if any of the map needs to change. And I'm looking at you, Stefan, just in terms
For
of
which one?
the plume. The final land use map,
What,
if there's any changes to any of the land use categories or that we have the ability to modify the map. You have it in whatever it is.
I have it in PDF, but we're gonna get Blue Beam, that'll be all fine.
Oh, so you are gonna get it.
I'm gonna get Blue Beam.
Okay.
We're just gonna get 2 licenses.
It's a software that you can change a PDF map, right?
Yeah,
I still need clarification. Is the one that we're gonna work on together, the comment number 8?
Yeah, we can start with that.
Okay.
Okay. Everybody's good?
Adjourn? Is that
I
that?
guess so. I think so. It sounds like we have a pretty good plan. Okay,
All right.